Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, let's do this. It's Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 88. And so for tonight, we're going to kick things off with Name That Stadium, like we always do. Then we're going to cover the news from this past week, which, by the way, there was a freaking shit ton of it. After that, we're going to continue what we started last week, which is free agency matchmaker. We're going to do it for the NFC teams tonight, and then we'll close things off with question of the week. So, with all that being said, how's it going tonight, James?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. I hope you're nice and comfortable because there is a ton to get to tonight. I was looking back at our notes from last year, comparing it to this year, and the amount, and I think some of it's the timing, of when we had last week's episode versus this week's, and in the timing of last year, but way more signings happened in that gap this year than last year. And so,
hmm
I think it kind of messes up our free agency matchmaker game a little bit. But there's still a lot of holes to fill, a lot of guys hanging out there, and a lot to talk about. So, we'll do our best to cover it well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do Name That Stadium. For anybody who's watching, this is a segment we have a little bit of fun with each week. As you can see, James is out there traveling the country. He's got a different stadium in the background each week. Uh, we're just asking if you think you know what stadium that is, hit us up in our comments section. First person to get the right answer gets a shout out next week's show. James, where were you at last week, man?
Last week I was in Denver. I mean, it's Denver was an obvious pick because it was what was it like a day after or 2 days after the Russell Wilson trade was announced. It was like right after it. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely a lot of significance there, and I think you're following that same trend for this week. Not to give it away, but uh, I like what you're doing there.
yeah, I might move to a different stadium later in the episode.
Oh, interesting. All right. Yeah. Hey, let's see what happens with that. That'd be fun. Okay, so let's kick things over and let's do our recap of the past week. James, honestly, man, I'm going to start with some of the big news and then we'll just see where it goes because with, free agent signings, I don't know that we got time to hit them all, but we'll do our best to hit the big ones and, talk about, the significant events, so to speak. And then we'll jump into our free agency matchmaker. So let's start it off with Deshaun Watson. And you know, you gave me the news before I read it, so why don't you tell me what you've heard there, man?
All right, so uh, go this week. It was a weird week because it was like on like Wednesday there was like, oh, Watson news could be coming as soon as tonight, and you had all this shit going on with teams were interviewing Watson, which apparently the teams had to present a potential trade package to the Texans before they were given permission to talk to Watson. And there were four teams that talked to him. It was
Atlanta, Carolina.
New Orleans, Carolina, Atlanta, and Cleveland. And then coming into today, it was like Cleveland was said to have been out of the running, and Carolina was. So it was between New Orleans and Atlanta, according to reports. And then all of a sudden this afternoon, I look at my phone and I was like, "Holy shit! Watson's being traded to Cleveland." And I start digging deeper into it and find. So in addition to trading Watson, he's getting or being traded to Cleveland. He's getting a new contract from Cleveland, which I'll get into that little bit later. It annoys the fuck out of me.
Okay.
But so ultimately, the compensation was Cleveland got Watson and a 2024 fifth round pick. They gave Houston their next three first round picks, 2023 third round pick, and a 2024 fourth round pick.
Okay.
which is crazy. Like, I, I mean, there's a lot of fucking picks for Watson, and then as part of the trade, he's signing a new contract, which he still had 4 years left on his old contract, and it's not an extension; it's just a replacement contract. It's a 5 year, fully guaranteed $230 million contract.
Yeah, fully guaranteed with the risk that he carries. Man, Cleveland's really they're gambling.
Well, see, there's a caveat there in what you're thinking. It's not guaranteed against that, because
Okay,
if
so yeah,
something
if
happens
he's
like
got an
that,
off the field issue,
if
it
he has
gets
an off the
void
field,
somehow.
yeah, it's
Okay.
it's like there's in the collective bargaining agreement, there's little caveats in it. So going into it, over the next 4 years, he was slated to make $36 million a year average value for the next 4 years. Now it's 184 million. What annoys the fuck out of me about it is this year's base salary for Deshaun Watson, according to the contract, is $1 million.
What?
Yes. So if he gets suspended this year for this legal issues that he's going into, or that he has, the suspension and the loss of pay will be based on a $1 million contract.
Wow. And well, I mean, from what I've heard, it's like almost for sure he's going to lose some time, under the league's conduct policy. It just
Yeah,
depends, like some people I hear they're saying 4 games, some are saying six, some are saying on the extreme end he could miss the whole season, but more than likely it's probably in that 4 to 6 game range. But who the
yeah,
heck knows? The NFL can do whatever. So
yeah. Which, but it would, which so when they renegotiated the contract and they purposely Watson's team purposely, as part of the caveats for waiving the new no trade clause, wanted that $1 million base salary this year, which is fucked up. Like,
yeah, so if he misses time, he's really not missing a lot of money because it's all
yeah,
coming in the future.
exactly. What gets me, and what's hilarious is, so like when Atlanta was talking to, or in the running for Watson, the brass in Atlanta told Matt Ryan, informed him. They told him, we're pursuing Deshaun Watson, open with their quarterback. Cleveland, apparently Baker Mayfield found out that the Browns were pursuing Deshaun Watson through social media.
Okay. Yeah, just not handling it right. And I did hear that um, he after he found out, he requested a trade, and then the team thought they were out of the running because apparently Watson said, I don't want to go to Cleveland, or I'm not going to waive my no trade clause for Cleveland. And so then Baker asked for a trade and the team denied him.
Uh-huh.
And now all of a sudden they got him and they're going to let him seek a trade. It's like, what the frick is up with that, man?
Yeah. So, but the thing of, like, that's the weird part is, I don't know why it was, because and it's a surprise. So it probably has to do something with this new contract,
Okay.
because all the reporting that on it was Watson wanted to stay close to home, which is Atlanta, or the
Mm,
Atlanta area.
okay.
So he wanted to say, New Orleans, Carolina, Atlanta, like, and then Carolina was out of the running, which kind of surprised me. I thought Carolina would have been a better fit for him to go to than any of the other teams. But so he wanted to stay at home or closer to home, and then all of a sudden it's like he waves it. He's like, okay, and then with the new contract, it makes sense, and then the 1 million base salary for this year, so he's not really losing money, and
Yeah, and they know that Baker's is, we were talking about it last week, it's like 18 million guaranteed. So
Mhm.
at least, they don't have like $1 zillion tied into their quarterback for this year.
Right. And and if but I think if they trade Baker, like if they trade Baker, then they have $1 million for their starting quarterback basically.
Oh yeah, because yeah, that the salary would go elsewhere. Yeah.
And which isn't that bad, but you look at the and I mentioned this to you, you have the AFC West, which is stacked with quarterbacks.
Yep.
You have the AFC North, which is now stacked with quarterbacks.
Yep.
I mean,
Oh, you're talking Mitch Trubisky for the
no.
Steelers?
I
No,
mean, you
no.
want to,
Yeah.
but here's the thing of it. I don't think Trubisky is as bad as people think he is because of the fact that look at how much worse the Bears were under Nagy after they got
Yeah.
rid of Trubisky.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will say this, for as much as we dog Trubisky on the show, um, he did have some good games. When
Hmm.
he played well, he played really well. It's
Yeah.
just that sometimes he looked like he was lost on the field, and it was like, what the heck is this guy doing? But no, and I like that he took a year, in a backup capacity behind like a freaking all-star quarterback. That it's good. Hopefully that helped him calm down, see the field a little bit better, learn a thing or two, and now he's getting a second chance as a starter, and hopefully he makes the most of it.
Yeah, and the thing with Trubisky that makes me also say that is Brian Daboll is now the coach in the Giants, and the Giants were heavily pursuing Trubisky. So that told me a lot more about Trubisky than what I saw
Yeah,
on the field.
yeah, they believe that he's actually got potential. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, and you look at the other side of it with the fact that Watson didn't go to the NFC, who who's left in the NFC quarterback wise?
I
It's
mean,
like
we
the
talked about
Rams,
it
the
before.
Bucks.
It's Rodgers and Stafford, and I guess you got Tom Brady back now.
Yeah.
So, but Rodgers, who's he going to be throwing to?
Wait,
I mean,
that happened since the last show too. That's probably our next topic.
yeah, he was actually my next one on the list. Yeah. So
Yeah.
why don't we just go there? We got Devonte Adams, and James, you told me about this too. So, what'd you hear about Devonte Adams, man?
All right. This one kind it initially surprised me, but when you actually sit down and think about it, it makes sense. Um, like it surprised me that fucking the Packers, Gutekunst, does something right and does something wrong. And I mean, my first thought on it when it happened was, well, is it too late for Rodgers to ask for a trade? But no, but like Devonte Adams, I mean, he's uh, fucking AFC West. That's
Yep.
that he's traded the AFC West. I forget the compensation. It was
I think you were telling me it was something crazy like 28 million a year. I mean, for a wide receiver, man.
yeah, he no his 28.5 million a year. But
Oh, the trade comp.
yeah, I want to say it was like a first and a second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds like it
he
was
get
pretty.
first and second. So their top two picks. So no, and not even a high first. Number 22 and number 53
That's a fucking
picks.
steal, dude. Yeah, and they did sign Chandler Jones in free agency too. So I tell you, I like what the Raiders have done, man. They're
Hmm.
saying, okay, we're in the toughest division in football, and we know that we're the laggards, so we better freaking swing for the fences in the off season and try to keep up somehow. And I think
But
they've done a great job with that.
but the thing about it is Adams and Carr have the built-in chemistry. They played in college together.
Hmm.
They're best friends. They work out all off season together. So, but when I was starting to hear stuff that happened like over the last year, like Devonte Adams bought a house in Vegas and did
Okay.
this. So like the writing was there, and he told the Packers he wasn't going to play on the
Yep, the
franchise tag
tag.
this year. But
Hmm.
here's what you do if you're the Packers. Call his fucking bluff.
Yeah.
Because you have no talent at the wide receiver position. Call his bluff. Make him go right up until the start of the season and not play because there's no way he would lose $20 million.
Yeah, and I know Marquez Valdez Scantling is a free agent also, and so is
Mm-hmm.
Robert Tanyan, and so yeah, I
Robert
mean
Tunyon and
they're
the
like
other
really bare now.
and Alan Lazard's a free agent. Yeah, I don't think they have a wide receiver under contract currently.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that when we go to free agent matchmaker, James. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
so yeah, that,
so
Rogers has got to be fuming. I mean, I would have thought that that would have been a contingency of him stay or a condition of him staying, and maybe it was, and then something changed because I heard that he knew they were going to trade him,
yeah.
and it just blows my mind that he would have come back unless they have some plan to replace him.
Yeah, I heard that they had been negotiating this trade for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
so I don't know. Maybe they got something in the works, and we'll talk about the free agent prospects when we get there to the show. But
which props
man,
props to them because shit like this going on,
yeah,
normally one of these quote unquote insiders gets a scoop on it
yeah, you get
and
a leak.
get a leak somewhere. Nobody fucking leaked, and it's like,
Yeah,
wow. If it's been in the works for weeks and nobody leaked
yeah,
it,
yeah. No, we heard rumors, but we all thought, oh, it's just rumor. There was nothing to like really think it was credible until it came out. All right, well, let's keep it going here. So the next one I wanted to bring up was a free agent signing, which was Von Miller going to the
you
Bills.
you forgot about the Tom Brady unretiring.
Oh,
'Cause
well,
that
okay.
happened on Sunday.
If
Didn't
we've
that
got
happen
to
on Sunday?
if we've got to put it in the order of priority, then yeah, we can talk. I mean, I did a minute ago say Brady's back when we were talking about NFC quarterbacks, but yeah, I guess it deserves a little more attention than that. So let me just finish with Von Miller, if I can.
Yeah.
So he signed what was it, a 6-year, $120 million deal with the Bills.
Yeah,
Um,
something like that.
and he said it was tough because he wanted to stay with the Rams, obviously having just won the Super Bowl. But man, I like Von Miller, but I, James, I'm just gonna say it the way it is, man. I just don't think he's worth that kind of money at this stage of his career. And it's not just the 20 million a season thing that bothers me. It's the 6-year contract. It just seems like I don't know what Buffalo was thinking, man. I mean, I like that they got the guy, but it just seems like they way overdid it to get him.
Yeah, it feels like a really high contract. But when you actually sit down, it does appear like it is a really high contract. But when you actually sit down and think about it, towards the end of last year and in the playoffs, like in the playoffs, he had 4 sacks, including 2 in the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
and he played at a high level once he was back, once after he was back from his injury with the Rams. So I think it's a better deal than you're actually thinking.
I mean, make it 4 years. Six is, man, it's just a long time, but that's okay. I mean, hey, I hope it works out for him. I like Von Miller. I like the Bills, so it just seemed a little high for me. But all right, so yeah, Brady unretired, and since he unretired, they've had all sorts of craziness in Tampa Bay. They traded for Shaq Mason, which was like for peanuts, a fifth round
Hmm.
pick. Talk about Bill Belichick throwing him a bone, man. They extended Godwin, who they originally franchise tag. He got a 3-year deal, I believe. They brought back cornerback Carlton Davis. Um, and there was another move with a lineman. Did they re-sign Jensen? I think it was.
Yeah, they re-signed Jensen, and they signed Russell Gage.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. So they, the Brady effect, as people are saying, has Tampa Bay right back in, Super Bowl talks. And I
Mhm.
mean, hey, that's cool. I'm glad he came back, to be honest, because like we were talking about, all the actions in the AFC now, and so at least this gives one more NFC team something to talk about and gives them a shot. And honestly, I mean, if he goes up against Stafford again, would he lose to Stafford twice? I don't know, man. I mean, it's just crazy. It's Brady. He almost brought him back from being way down in that game, and he just ran out of time, in my opinion. But um, yeah, so that's cool. What is there anything else you wanted to hit on Brady?
Well, I thought it was funny because apparently he personally called to recruit Russell Gage to the Bucks,
Oh,
and Russell Gage thought it was a joke or a prank
oh,
initially until he realized that, like it really was like he thought he was being pranked on it, and then it was like, oh no, this is serious. This is really Brady calling me, trying to get me to sign with the Bucks.
yeah. When Brady calls you, you answer and you say, "Yes, sir, I'll be there."
Yeah, exactly.
Um, all right. Well, hey, in other wide receiver news, I saw Julio Jones got released by the Titans.
Hmm.
I guess I was a little surprised by it because it just leaves a hole at wide receiver for them. And we know AJ Brown has injury stuff every year, but I guess Julio Jones was kind of the same way. And so he wasn't very productive in the time that they had him. I think I saw that he only went over 60 yards once, and so it's that's tough. But um, so they cut him. We'll see where he goes. A couple other well, I guess one other free agent signing, which or I'll give you two because they're kind of related to the Lions. We talked about it earlier, but safety Marcus Williams signed with Baltimore. I really like that signing. I think that's
Hmm.
great for their defense. I'm a little bummed about it because I guess the Lions were hunting for him pretty hard. But the Lions did get back Tracy Walker, so that helps. And then the other one was wide receiver Allen Robinson signed with the Rams. Another one that the Lions apparently were pretty deep in the discussion on trying to go after him. They end up with DJ Shark instead, which not, in my opinion, a great consolation prize. But since we got nobody other than the young blood Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think Shark has a shot to be productive. I question the fit because he's a deep threat, and we know Goff is not a great deep ball thrower, but we'll see. I think they're going to lean on the run. Maybe that makes it a little easier for Goff to take those downfield shots, and we'll see what happens. But for the Rams, that's a huge pickup. Maybe they don't bring OBJ back now. Although I did hear Robert Woods is probably on the trade block now. And so who knows? Maybe they still get OBJ back on a discount deal. And it just blows my mind how these teams can just stay stacked like that, James.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, the Rams, the Rams are a special case. Like they don't look at picks or prospects the same way as everyone. Yeah, they're good at drafting too, at finding these guys in like the fourth, fifth round that are gems, but they the way they treat it is we got to win now.
Yep.
We got to win now, and everything like the off season last year, 2 years going into last year and the year before was geared towards winning the Super Bowl at home. So,
Mission
but they
accomplished.
mission accomplished, and they know what they're they appear to know what they're doing. So I don't know how they can do everything they're doing and still stay under the cap. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it blows my mind, but good for them, man. They're making it happen. And then, with the Rams, Andrew Whitworth, their left tackle, he finally decided to retire. So a
mhm.
little bit of a hole there. We'll talk about it in our next section of the show. But, um, you know, massive career between Cincinnati and the Rams. So good for that guy. Great way to go out, winning the ring. Good for him. Uh, that's all I had on my list, man. And I know there's way more. So I'll just kind of flip it over to you if there's some stuff that you want to add on.
I think
Other,
the only one I anticipated you getting to and you didn't was what's his face, J.C. Jackson
okay.
signed with the Chargers.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I liked that pick, man.
I mean, I'd right division, wrong team.
Yeah, I like. I mean, they got Bosa, they traded for Khalil Mack, and now they got him. I mean,
And
hopefully Derwin James is healthy. We know that's been an issue his career. Um, yeah, and I hope they re-sign that linebacker. What's his name? Kaiser White. He played good.
yeah,
I know he was on the top 100 list. He had a really good year for them. Yeah, I'm excited for the Chargers, man.
yeah, I'm really excited for the Chargers. And it's like, but you touch on it. That's why the Raiders are doing what they're doing. And the surprising thing is the Chiefs have kind of been silent. Nothing's been going on there.
Uh,
Except for no, they signed Schuster,
yeah, I was
but
just gonna say,
that's like
yeah,
it.
their
That
big
that's
move is Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah,
that's it. Which I think is a good signing for because he's good at a number two receiver. He's not a number
yeah.
one,
In
and
in the
you have
reality, the reality is that he's like their third receiver
yeah
because
behind
Kelsey's going to
Kelsey.
be above him in the priority list, and so I think that is actually a really good signing for them.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to hit on is the disgusting trend I've seen uh, pop up a lot. Like you had Randy Gregory do it, you had J.D.
Oh
McKissick
yeah,
do it. I think there was one more,
Zadarius Smith.
Zadarius Smith, where they before the league year they verbally agree to a contract, and it's and like Gregory and McKissick backed out of it because a team swooped in and offered them more,
Yeah,
which I think that's bullshit in and of itself. But then, like Zadarius Smith just completely backed out of it.
yeah, yeah, and he's back on the market. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
strange one. Yeah.
Well, the reason Zadarius Smith did was because he saw what these other guys got.
Oh, so it was a money thing.
Chan, Chandler Jones and who was the other one that signed? There was another one. I can't remember. Like, there's two big ones that
Okay.
it, probably no Von Miller and Chandler Jones. They
Uh,
were saw
okay.
what
So
those
yeah, they were
players
setting the
got.
bar, and he thought, okay, I should be closer to that than what this
Yeah,
offer was. And okay, yeah, and I know he's coming off an injury, and so his market value was expected to be down. But yeah, maybe he saw those so high, and he thought, no, it's higher than I thought, and so I'm gonna wait and see. But yeah, I think that's tough, and I kind of had a note on him for tonight. Is just that. I've heard the rumblings about the issues with him and the Packers, and it just sounds like the guy's not a very good team player. And so I think
yeah,
that that's going to limit his market, to be honest.
yeah. And I didn't see that. Oh,
Because otherwise, he's risky, but he carries a ton of reward if the guy stays healthy.
yeah. He is. I just but there's definitely there's something odd there. I don't like agreeing to something and then backing out of it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
your word
Be a
should be
man
your
of your
fucking
word,
bond.
man. Yeah,
Like if you say yes to something, then you damn well better fucking do it.
yeah. I mean, we're men, James. We have principles. That's how it works. So, but some men are lesser men than others. So,
Sure.
all right. So, what else do you got? Was that it?
I was just glancing to see if there was any that caught my eye. I kind of like what the Jaguars are doing. They're spending a lot of money. They're overspending on some, but they're like they brought in uh, Evan Ingram. Was it Evan Ingram?
I mean, they need a tight end, but I didn't hear about Evan Ingram. But maybe they did. Just, there were so many things that could have just gotten lost in the shuffle when I was going through it.
Yeah, they brought. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they brought in Evan Ingram, signed Evan Ingram. They signed Darius Williams. Like, I
Oh, I
mean, they're
liked that signing. Yeah.
they're they're putting some money out there. Yeah, they're not going to be right there contending now, so they have to overpay a little bit. But they're actually spending money and trying to improve the team. So I kind of like what I'm seeing down there.
Yeah.
I'm and I mean they're going to be a better team this year. Last year was just a fucking waste for them. Like Urban Meyer.
Oh
fuck
yeah.
that shit up.
Yeah, Doug Peterson, he'll get them back on their feet, man. I
Yeah,
have faith in him.
and and Miami got a fucking running back.
Oh, well,
Chase Ed.
yeah, I was gonna say, are you talking about Mostert or Edmonds? I like the combo with the two.
I didn't hear the Mostert one. I only heard the Edmonds one.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed for Edmonds because I forget I mean, I think it was like a 2 year. I don't know. It wasn't as much money as I thought he could have gotten. You know, man,
Two
I
year,
want to I want to see
12 and a half.
Edmonds in a more, a more
6 million a
exclusive
year
role.
for running back. That's actually today's value of the running back. That's actually pretty good for a running back.
It's just because I think he deserves better, James. I think if
Yeah,
he was given the shot, he could be more of a workhorse, even though, his stature might not profile him that way. But, that's okay. I think that's a really good combo. Him and Mostert, I think they'll be a good pair in Miami.
yeah. Which I was telling you. I mean, after the draft last year, all season, going into the off season, I kept saying Miami fucked up by not getting a running back.
Yeah.
And they signed a quarterback that's kind of for backup that's a little bit complementary to Tua, so they don't have to have two different style offenses now. They've signed Bridgewater.
Yeah, I hope that Tua can get the ball to Edmonds the right way. Some quarterbacks struggle to check down to the running back.
Yeah,
And, just a lot of the tape I've seen on Tua, it's just such an ugly pass, man. The ball just, I don't know, dude. He was great in college, but it's a whole different thing. In the NFL, you gotta have a freaking tight spiral. You gotta be able to put air under it. And I don't see those things in his pass. It's so strange watching him throw, man. It almost reminds me of Philip Rivers in ways where it just looks wrong. But Rivers was successful, so maybe Tua will get there. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. Maybe he will. I was more sold on Tua when he was first drafted
Yep.
than I have been since. Like he hasn't lived up to it.
Yeah, and it's tricky because college ball, a guy can look great, but then you see him in the NFL and it's like, whoa, the shit he got away with in college, he's not getting away with in the pros. He had guys wide ass open at Alabama, and that's hard to get in the NFL. And so, you got to have a good looking ball to fit it in those tight windows. And it just, and he can get there. He can get there. We got to give him time, but yeah, we're both, he hit the radar for both of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move it on here, James. Let's do a little free agency matchmaker. Like we talked about earlier, we're hitting the NFC tonight. The timing's a little bit off from last year, so we've got a whole lot of free agent moves already made, but there's still a lot to be had. And so let's take a look at these teams and let's plug in some of the available names, see what we think, see what these guys should be doing. And so we'll just start it off alphabetically. We got the Arizona Cardinals up first, and I am just pulling up my computer because I want to check and see maybe I got updated salary cap space for these guys. The Cardinals, I'm looking at over the cap. Maybe I'm hoping this is updated. They're showing that the Cardinals are sitting on about 10.3 million in space. And I referred back to Petra's article that we were using last week. He was showing cornerback, defensive line, wide receiver as their top three needs. The one that just kind of stuck out to me right off the bat was Patrick Peterson at cornerback. I know he's not really like a CB1 anymore, but he's a very savvy, very seasoned cornerback, and he has a history with Arizona. Can they play nice and benefit each other? Because they're a team that's a legitimate playoff team now, and he's going to want to play for a team that has a shot. And so, uh, you know, is some of that familiarity a match to get him in and fill that need? I don't know. I kind of liked it. What do you think, man? What are you seeing for Arizona?
Give me 1 minute. My fucking um,
Yeah.
notes
Well,
closed out
yeah. So
on
while
me.
while you're looking, I'll give you two more, and I don't have three for every team on the list, but I got three names I liked for Arizona. The second one is Jarvis Landry at wide receiver. Um, you know, they need wide receivers. AJ Green's gone, Christian Kirk's gone. They've got DeAndre Hopkins, and I know that they're expecting Rondale Moore to progress this year. I think Jarvis Landry would be a good fit for the team. I could even see them going after somebody. It's a little riskier, but even like Will Fuller, I think would be good on that team. And then the third name that I had, which I like, he doesn't play the same position, so I don't want to necessarily say that, but on the defensive line, could help fill some of the void of Chandler Jones being gone, is Ndamukong Suh. He's sitting out there, and we know he's one of those guys that if he's on a contender, he's going to give you big plays when you need him. You're going to have to deal with the motor being inconsistent. Sometimes he's going to check out, but uh, for being a bit long in the tooth, the guy still has some play in him. And so I thought that could be a good one. And they've got some money where, I think Jarvis Landry's probably still got enough gas in the tank where he's going to get a decent amount of pay. But Peterson and Sue, they could probably get on a good deal without hurting their cap too much.
My first question is who is their running back that they have under contract going into this year?
So I want to say they re-signed James Conner.
See, I must have missed that because like I was sitting here, I was looking at my note on them is that who's their running back this year?
Yeah, and I mean I could try to Google it real quick, but I want to say they re-signed him to like a 3-year deal.
Okay, so I must have just completely
Yeah, three
missed that.
years, 21 million. Yeah, they liked him, and he here's the thing with James Conner. When he's healthy, he is a very good running back. The problem is he went a number of years where he just couldn't stay on the field. And so, you know, they had him on a 1-year deal, and I'm not saying that that's the recipe for these kind of running backs, but it seems like, hey, he's on a 1-year prove it deal and he proved it. Now he's on a 3-year deal. Hopefully he stays healthy because he definitely was good for them.
Yeah. So the issue with the Cardinals is they're so close on to the cap. Do they have much room to really sign and go out and get these players? Plus they got to give Kyler really wants a new deal,
Yeah, they're going
and
to probably have to cave on that. Yeah.
so I don't see any of like the top tier um like defensive line, wide receiver, cornerback. Like I don't see them signing any of the top tier guys. Like you're looking probably in the middle, like an Akeem Hicks or
Oh, I
uh,
agree. That's why I went all guys sort of like in that bottom grouping.
or like I mean Jarvis Landry sitting out there. That'd be an interesting one.
I think Landry would be a good fit for them.
That would be an interesting one. And then I think it's about all I see as fits for them. Like I don't see Patrick Peterson going back to the Cardinals. It seems the
Yeah.
sense I get was he was kind of pissed that they didn't give him a new deal.
Yeah, they would have to bury the hatchet. The hatchet. I just called it out obviously because they could both benefit from bringing him back. Um, and some of the other names, it's like you talked about. Like, would they spend money to bring in a guy like Stephon Gilmore? I doubt it. And so, what are they going to do? There's guys later on the list like Kevin King, um, Razul Douglas, some guys that are they're sort of like boomer bust kind of picks they could throw some darts at a couple of those guys and see if, one of them sticks. Um, you know, so yeah, it was maybe just wishful thinking with Peterson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
the retreads rarely ever happen, James. I know.
yeah, and one another interesting one where I could eh,
You know what I mean? Here's
what Larry Fitzgerald has not retired.
okay.
Larry Fitzgerald has not retired. He even going into last season, he said he's not playing this year.
Well, here's his chance. Come back and help him out.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's just throwing it out there. I'm not saying Larry Fitzgerald's coming back. Larry Fitzgerald probably should retire,
Yeah, I
but
think I think it's time.
like I mean, or like you're looking at like some of these free agents at the like it's slim pickings that they're going to be able to get under stay under the cap and still be able to re-sign or extend Kyler.
Yeah, I mean, man, if Larry Fitzgerald really wants to play, find a way to get on the Patriots and just be like a third down specialist because you know that he doesn't have a whole lot left in his game, but he could
Mhm.
be a clutch, catch anything on third down when you need him kind of guy.
True. I mean, he doesn't have the speed, but I mean, his hands are freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, and Belichick's like the only guy in the game that he can say, okay, you're gonna run 5 plays and that's it, and I'm gonna make you great every game for 5 plays, and so it would work. All right, well, let's move on. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. I got them up next, James. And so looking back at the cap space for the Falcons, I'm showing that they are sitting at 2.4 million, not a whole lot of breathing room. And they had needs of wide receiver, edge, and offensive linemen. Wide receiver is really tough for them because, yeah, like you said, Russell Gage is out and then Calvin Ridley's out. Um, the most obvious signing for them, to me at least, is that they got to bring back Cordero Patterson. I know he's
Mhm.
like the hybrid running back wide receiver, but he was their best player last year. Why are they waiting? Just bring him back. Um,
And didn't
you know,
didn't they sign somebody that fit one of their needs this week?
I know I want to say they signed a running back. I don't know who else they signed, but in speaking of running back, I actually had them listed as signing, or me saying they should go after Rashad Penny. I know we talked about him with a team or two last week, but he gets comps to Derrick Henry by some guys. They say he's a banger, and it just seems like Arthur Smith would want that because he had that. And so, go get that guy. You wanted Mike Davis and it didn't work. Maybe Rashad Penny can fill that role for you on the Falcons.
So they signed Damian Williams.
That's
That
what it
was the
was.
running
Yeah.
back they
So they
signed.
brought in a running back. Yeah.
And they also signed, let me go back to their needs. I think, yeah, okay, that's where it is. So they signed Elijah Wilkinson.
Okay.
They signed Anthony Rush, Colby Gossett.
Yep.
Right, they re-signed
Offensive
Colby
line. That's a
Gossett,
good fit.
and they signed Tease
Tease
to
Tabor from the Lions. Well,
Tabor.
he not on the Lions recently, but yeah, he was a high pick for us, a second rounder, I think, and just total bust. But um,
Yeah. So and and they signed Casey Hayward Jr.
okay.
So I mean they've been fairly active in trying to address their needs.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the openings at wide receiver and edge are still there. Um,
Yes.
and at wide receiver, they gotta do something. At edge, I kind of thought about this. Maybe they roll the dice on Clowney because I gotta believe Clowney is running out of teams that are going to try him, and they've had an opening at edge for like frickin' a decade plus, man.
True. Here's the problem with the Falcons and a wide receiver.
They can't pay
I
one.
no. I have the sense, based on everything that's been going on, that Matt Ryan will not be the starting quarterback for the Falcons this year.
You still need to have somebody to throw the ball to, man.
Yeah, but this might be they might be starting a rebuild. And the specific reason I get that sense even more is today Matt Ryan was his roster bonus was supposed to go into effect.
Okay.
The team and Matt Ryan agreed to push the roster bonus back to Tuesday next week.
Oh, yeah, they're scrambling to do something. It sounds like they're trying to trade him or,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if they trade Matt Ryan, you're looking at a rookie quarterback this year.
You're going to shell shock the guy if he's got no one to throw to.
I know. And they can't who the fuck are they going to pay? How the fuck are they going to be able to afford anyone? I mean, you're looking at like
Yeah.
bringing like T.Y. Hilton. Like
Yeah.
that's T.Y. Hilton or maybe like Cole Beasley.
Yeah,
Like,
they're not going to get a number one.
yeah, you're looking all the way down there,
Yeah.
and
And I mean, there's really not even a wide receiver one left available anyhow. So,
yeah, there
um,
is. Sure, there is. There's got to be.
on the top 100 list,
Yeah, there's got to
you
be.
you got Odell Beckham, who's obviously going to be risky coming off injury. You got Julio, who's not a wide receiver one anymore, and you got Jarvis Landry. Those are the guys at the top of the list. I don't think any of them are a
I
wide
guess you're
receiver
right.
one anymore.
I guess you're. I was. I wasn't saying saying necessarily that there definitely is. It's like there's got to be one. Like
Oh, yeah, you would just think, yeah, because normally some of these moves don't happen this fast. But I
yeah.
mean, this was like a bang and start to free agency, man.
So this is what I would do if I were the Falcons. I would go out and sign Marcus Mariota
Okay.
after they trade Matt Ryan. Go out and sign Marcus Mariota, then draft a quarterback to sit behind Mariota. Like I hate to say it, actually he's not going to be there because we'll get into it in a minute. But you, it's probably going to be like a Desmond Ritter, who's a solid quarterback. He's got a good arm. He's accurate. So I actually like him as a pro prospect. There's three that I like as pro prospects in this draft. Um, go out and draft like a Desmond Ritter because I think that's about the only one that's going to be available by the time they pick because I think there's going to be a run on quarterbacks. They're like 12 or 15 pick
Oh
this year.
man, there's that high. Jeez.
I want to say it's like 12 or 15.
Okay.
I got to double check it, but I don't see I just see a run at quarterbacks at the top. Like Malik Willis, he's going to be drafted number 2 overall. Um, they're 8, sorry. So, but here's the problem with it. You have the Lions who are probably going to draft a quarterback. You have 2 picks by the Giants. Seattle might try to trade up to get in there. You have Carolina who needs a quarterback. Um, so I mean, at number 8, you're probably going to see And it's stupid because these quarterbacks are not they're not top 10 picks, but because of how the draft works and the overvaluing of the quarterback, they're gonna they're gonna end up getting maybe Desmond Ritter because like just you have three picks. The Lions are gonna pick Willis. You have well, Panthers are gonna pick Pickens, and then you have Desmond Ritter at the Falcons at number 8, which is ridiculous to have three quarterbacks that high. These three quarterbacks that high, but they're going to have to do it out of a need. So you get like a Marcus Mariota or a player like that to kind of play and
Bridge guy
bridge,
while they
bridge,
develop. Yeah.
the bridge guy.
Yeah,
Um,
let him take the lumps because you don't have a good supporting cast yet. And yeah, so they're going to use him up and spit him out and then let the rookie
mhm,
take over in year 2.
exactly.
Man, bold strategy. All right, well, you mentioned Carolina, and they're actually on my list next, James. I'm showing quarterback, offensive line, and cornerback as their top needs. I believe they did sign Bradley Bozeman, so I think we can take that off a little bit. They've got plenty of cap space, 33.5 million. I'm thinking Jameis Winston, man. I don't know, dude. I think they gotta. I think if they draft a rookie, I think Matt Rule and company are going to get fired this year. I think that they gotta take a shot on a guy like Jameis and win. Maybe draft a rookie in addition, but they've got to win games this year. They're not going to get another year.
You forgot about the big signing by the Panthers today. They signed Johnny Hecker,
Oh,
the punter.
yeah, a little
So
punter action.
they extended more.
Oh
They
yeah, DJ Moore. Yep, good for him. Yep.
they signed Enitis today. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, but they still
So
need a cornerback.
those still don't address their needs, which is weird.
Yeah, and
Okay,
I was looking at Dante Jackson could be a good fit for them at cornerback. Obviously they just got rid of Stephon Gilmore, so they're probably not going back to him. But Dante Jackson's a little higher up on the list for the position. He could fill a need, and they got plenty of cap space. But I mean, quarterback, I don't know. You're trading for Jimmy G, or you're rolling the dice on Jameis Winston. If I'm them, I'd take the shot on Winston because they got to win some games now.
so the thing of it is Winston's going back to New Orleans. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
Which, if I was Winston, I'd be like, "Fuck you," and go somewhere else because you. But you know, what's honestly, what are they? What is Winston gonna do? Play for every team in the fucking NFC South? Who's next? Who's he missing?
Atlanta.
He hasn't played for Atlanta. And he hasn't played for Carolina. Like seriously,
I just make your rounds, man. Make your rounds.
I think if they do anything with a veteran, they trade for Garoppolo.
Okay. Jimmy G. They got to do
Another
something, man.
another thing that's out there is with the fact that Rodgers got an extension. Is there a possibility that Jordan Love is traded?
There definitely is. He's not shown any kind of good tape. So I don't know how, unless the Packers are just going to dump him, you know.
Yeah, like I mean, you're. It's just like it's true he hasn't shown any good tape, but like there had to
Gosh,
be
yeah,
some value there.
yeah, with that contract that Rodgers signed, it's such a waste of a first round pick, man. But I did hear this, and I know this is a little bit of a tangent. It was, I think, either before the 2025 season or after, 2022, it had to be before the 2025 season, I'm guessing, with Rodgers. If he retired, they would have a 77 million cap hit in 2025, which is insane. It'd be like a third of their cap space for a guy not even on the team. And so, this cap manipulation stuff, it just, they're playing with fire, man.
Yeah, they're. I want to take a look at his.
Yeah, and that's something I heard on 97.1. So I think it was credible, but it's just either before 2025 or after, whichever way. I think because it was a 4-year deal. Or no, it ended up being a 3-year deal, didn't it?
It's a
It's a messed up thing.
yeah, like
Yeah, because it was going to be a 4-year 200, and then I think it ended up being a 3 150.
well,
But
it's technically a 5-year deal. So yeah, it's a 3 150 with five.
some voidable years.
I'm trying to figure this out. Like I'm looking at it and I'm just fucking confused by it.
Oh, all right. What here? I don't. We got a lot to get through still. I don't want to get too locked up on it. But so
But yeah, but like the dead cap hit 2022 128. That's right now. So his dead cap hit would be 128. Then it'd be 99 or 100 basically after this year, and then almost 70 after next year, and then after that, after next year, after 2020, not next year, after 2024, it's still $45 million.
yeah, it's crazy. All right. So let's move it on here. We got the Chicago Bears next, James. These guys, let's see, they're sitting at about 30.3 million in space. They need help on the offensive line, wide receiver, and cornerback. The one name that stuck out for me on offensive line was La'el Collins. He was released recently from the Cowboys. He's got a lot of upside at right tackle. I think he could come in, be solid for them. They got Justin Fields, so I'm sure they're probably going to want to put some money in that offensive line to protect him. I think he fit that bill. And then at cornerback, I saw Kevin King. He's a little further down the list, but he played with the Packers. That's the kind of move that you like seeing teams do. They want to get somebody from one of their division rivals, and it gives them a little bit of insight, and obviously it fills a need on that defense. But he's not like some stud name where they're going to break the bank, but he could start. He looked good when he played, and so those were the couple I picked out, man. What are you seeing?
I struggled with Chicago because they're in such a place where does anybody really want to go there?
I wouldn't.
And so I struggled with it. And the only one I possibly came up with as an honest possible signing would be Cole Beasley. And
Yeah,
that's
so
the
you'd have
only one I
you'd
could
have
come up with.
Mooney. Yeah, you'd have Darnell Mooney and Cole Beasley, and then you got Cole Kmet at tight end. It's weak at wide receiver, but um,
Oh
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to mention the fact about the Watson trade. How everything came full circle.
Oh, well, do it now, man. Do it now.
So with Watson, Houston traded with Cleveland for the number 12 pick in 2017 to draft Deshaun Watson. And now Cleveland traded for him when they could have picked him in fucking 2017. And the
If at
only
first you don't succeed,
and
try, and try again, James.
I think of the quarterbacks drafted in 2017, only one of them is going to get a
A
second
second
contract.
contract.
Or only one of them is left on their team or something weird like that.
Mm,
That was it 2017 or was it no Baker Mayfield draft. It wasn't the 2017 draft. It was the 20 um whatever draft Baker Mayfield was in.
yeah. So 18. Yeah. So probably 18 is, I'm guessing, with Baker.
Yeah,
So
it was the
this is his fifth year.
2018 draft.
Yeah.
The the top picks of the top quarterbacks pick, it was Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen,
Oh,
and Josh Allen. Those four, only Josh Allen is getting a second deal with the team that drafted him.
yeah. And yeah, he was the most raw, the riskiest of the group, man. And he's turned out to be the big payoff. Okay, so next up, James, we got the Dallas Cowboys. And Dallas, we know that they've had some cap issues. Um, they've made a ton of moves, and so, you know, I'm looking at this, and it's hard to say that this is right, but maybe it is because they've made so many moves. But over the cap, showing them sitting at 26.9 million. And then their needs are defensive back, offensive line, and Petra listed as wide receiver slash tight end, which I know they signed Michael Gallup, but they did let Amari Cooper go, and they let Blake Jarwin go, but they kept Dalton Schultz. And so they're basically, he's saying they just got to get one more receiver, whether it's a wide receiver or a tight end. The name that stuck out to me as being an obvious one is safety Jaron Kearse. He played for them last year. He played great for them last year. Clearly, Dan Quinn liked him. Just bring the guy back. And if for some reason you're not going to do it, would this be a landing spot for Tyrann Mathieu? Because that would, I guess, be an upgrade at safety. Um, and maybe they have some contender appeal where he would want to go there. Um, I'm sure he's holding out hope the Chiefs will bring him back, but it's been quiet, man. So I don't know.
So the only deal, the only real deal, and I'm going to verify this because this seems weird. They signed
Vander Esch, they
Fow-
brought him back.
Dante Fowler, say.
Oh, okay, I missed that one. Well, that helps him at edge.
Uh, they signed DeMarcus Lawrence, re-signed Malik Hooker, like. Oh, I missed that one. They signed Jeremy Sprinkle. like they haven't been really active to sign James Washington at wide receiver. I honestly, I'm just gonna say this. I don't see Dallas making a move for like say one of these top 100 guys. I think Dallas is content where they are because they're overpaying their running back, overpaying their wide receiver.
Yeah, man, they got to get rid of frickin' Zeke, dude. He's weighing them down. But they
Yeah, but I
can't.
don't think
They
they
can't.
can't yet. They can't yet. Like Pollard, I said this going into last year, and I
Yeah.
think statistically it worked out that way. Pollard is should be their number one running back.
Everybody's calling for Pollard, man, but they can't break that contract with Zeke yet.
I thought I thought this was the year. I thought this was the year. No, after this
After
year.
this year. After this year. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
after this
so,
year.
all right, so then for Dallas, maybe you bring back Curse. That fills a void. It For offensive line, maybe you go out and you take a shot on a guy like Riley Reef, who can come in and start at right tackle, and they have the opening there now. And so, they got to do something. They have a lot of openings now, but And it's tough because their offensive line has been a strength for so long, but with Connor Williams gone and Lyle Collins gone, you got to wonder now, how's that line going to look this year?
Yeah, I know. And that's they have to do something with the offensive line because of Dak. Like Dak won't be able to survive a season if he doesn't have an offensive line in front of
Yeah.
him. This is what I'm going back to. Like the NFC, it's Tampa Bay, the Rams. I would say the Packers, but who's Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball
Yeah,
to?
I can't count them now.
It's Tampa Bay or the Rams.
Yeah,
That's about it. Everybody
basically.
else is like,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Trey Lance blows us away and the 49ers can get in on the action. But that's a big, big if.
there
All right, so let's.
there were rumblings that the 49ers aren't sold on Trey Lance, and that's possibly where Matt Ryan's going to be traded to.
I'd love to see Matt Ryan go to the 49ers. I think that it looks really bad on Shanahan and Lynch if Trey Lance isn't the guy. But,
Yeah.
they could be saying, hey, we just need one more year, because he was really raw. I get that. But, oh, man, you can't make that big of a trade and then the guy not get the keys to the car. So,
Yeah. Well, the
um,
problem with drafting Trey Lance is in the 2020 college football season, between he had more pro days leading up to the draft than he played in football games in the entire 2020 season.
yeah, yeah, that's not good, man. That's not good.
And it's just
Thank you,
he
COVID.
was yeah, but it's a combination of COVID and NCAA, what is it? Football championship subdivision played in the spring, or they were going to, then they canceled.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was weird. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just like that pick was supposed to be Mac Jones, and the funny thing,
Should have been, man. Should have
the
been.
funny thing about it is to trade up for that pick. The 49ers gave up similar compensation to what Cleveland gave up to trade for Deshaun Watson.
Man. Yeah, there's going to be some regret there, and maybe even some heads get chopped, man. We'll see. But all right, let's kick it over to the next team on the list. Our good old Detroit Lions, James. And so the Lions, I'm showing them sitting at 22 million in cap right now. Everybody's saying they need a quarterback, but I'm not like totally sold on that. I think Goff can hold down the fort for another year. We don't need to panic there. Uh, Edge, we need some help there. Trey Flowers is gone now. In wide receiver, we definitely need some help there. We need a lot of help in a lot of different places. You could say cornerback is another one. Um, you know, I'd say our offensive line is good. Our running backs are good. Tight end is good as long as Hawkinson stays healthy. But we've got a lot of openings. And we brought this one name up last week very briefly. He has some injury concerns, but I kind of like him. I think he's like a savvy veteran player that could help our wide receiver room. Is Jamison Crowder. He's a guy that he's always been under the radar and he's always been productive. He plays out of the slot. He could be a good mentor for St. Brown, I think. But I think even if we brought him in, we're still missing a wide receiver one. And so I don't know if that means, one of the mocks I saw, James, had Drake London going at number two to the Lions. We got to get a wide receiver one. It's just a matter of, are we going to get it in the draft, or are we going to take a shot on another guy in free agency to have sort of a collective mix of twos and then get a wide receiver one next year? I don't really know. And then at edge, I like Jerry Hughes. That's a guy, he's a little bit long in the tooth at this point, but he's not long in the tooth like Melvin Ingram, um, or one of those kinds of names that wouldn't come to a place like Detroit. I think the Lions could land a Jerry Hughes and get some veteran leadership for our young defensive line. We got to remember we got the Aquaras, we got the two defensive tackles we drafted last year. A guy like Jerry Hughes could really bring some leadership to that group of guys. And we know that we want to give those guys a chance to step up to where we want them to be. So, they don't necessarily need to make a huge investment there, but get a leadership guy, a guy that can still play, that still has some gas in the tank. I think Hughes would fit that role.
I don't have much to add outside of what you said
Okay.
on the Lions. The one thing I did see that what's his face, DJ Shark, said the reason why he picked Detroit, which it's only a 1 year fucking deal with void years and
Stupid void years.
stupid shit. But the reason he picked Detroit, and I don't know how he saw this, but he liked the culture that he saw in with Detroit and where
Yeah.
it's going, which gives me so much hope for this team.
Yeah.
I think they're going to address their needs, a lot of their needs in the draft. They're not going to draft a wide receiver at number 2.
It'd be bold, man. It would be
They're not going
freaking
to draft,
bold.
but the problem is they're going to draft a quarterback at number 2.
Okay.
And then at number 32 is when they'll come back in and get the wide receiver.
Okay.
And then probably an edge at 35.
Okay, Oracle. All right, so yeah, I mean those are a couple spots for the Lions. We got the Packers up next, James. The Packers, you know, it's crazy with the Packers. So they're sitting at about $1 million in cap space is what I'm showing. Um, Wide receiver, in here's their needs that I've got: wide receiver, offensive line, and edge. You can say whatever you want about offensive line and edge. I mean, wide receiver is the big thing. They got Rodgers. Who's he going to throw to? The top names on the list, you got Odell Beckham and you got Julio Jones. Do they just find a way to get both of them? I don't know. What do you do, James? What do you do if you're the Packers, man?
What you do is you pick up the phone and call the Rams, and you say, "Yo,
We want Allen Robinson.
Ravens,
Throw us a bone. And
I
Robert
want
Woods.
give me Robert Woods. What do you want for him?"
Okay.
This goes back to what I've heard as referred to as blood on your hands, Brian Gutekunst.
Okay.
Trade up to draft a fucking quarterback in the 2020 draft, and let's see, who could you have drafted?
Oh, wide receivers.
Wide receivers, yeah, really. Um, I just want to take a look. I used to have I knew this off the top of my head. There were two wide receivers, two clear wide receivers that they should have taken instead of Jordan Love. And that would be T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr.
Ooh, Pittman Jr. He's on the rise, man. I mean,
And
T. Higgins is good too.
I mean, heck, you could have picked Chenault.
Yep, I
If
like
you didn't
Chenault.
like either
He
of
just
those.
doesn't have a good quarterback thrown to him
Yeah.
yet. But
Or possibly Chase Claypool. Like these are Van Jefferson. Um, Mims. Shall I keep going at the
yeah,
other
but
wide
none of
receivers?
yeah, but those last couple names, they're not going to step up to be a number one. You know?
Right, right, but that's not my point.
Yeah.
My point is you traded up to draft Aaron Rodgers' replacement, and you gave up you gave up some shit for it from Houston to Atlanta. Let's see what this trade was. What did they give up to Indianapolis? Where is it? I know there's. Oh, there it is. Green Bay, Miami to Green Bay. Miami traded the first round selection to Green Bay, exchange for first and fourth round. So you gave up first and a fourth round to move up the 4 spots instead of just drafting, I don't know, T. Higgins or uh,
Pittman Jr.
Pitt Jr. at number 30.
Yeah, either one of those guys would have been solid.
And then in the second round, who did they draft? Do you remember who they drafted in the AJ Dillon? Yeah,
Jay
he
Dillon.
he turned out to
He's
be
coming
good.
around, you know,
He's
but they had no reason to draft him because at the time they had Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. You know, that was a
exactly.
great combo. And so that was another wasted pick in my opinion.
Yes, that's the point I was getting at.
Yeah.
And if you drafted T. Higgins or Pittman Jr. or Pittman, you wouldn't find yourself in the situation right now where you currently don't have a fucking wide receiver under contract.
Yeah, because one of those guys could be a one. You know, they'd step up into that wide receiver one role and you'd be in good shape. But yeah, they screwed the pooch there, James. All right, so yeah, so either way, they got to look at guys, whether it's OBJ, whether it's Julio, whether they go out and make a trade, they got to figure it out. They don't have a whole lot of cap space, but they'll do a million voidable years and whatever manipulation these other teams do. Uh, Next up, James, we got the Rams, and the Rams I'm showing are sitting at 2.1 million in space. They've got needs on the offensive line, at cornerback, and at linebacker. The two names that jumped off the page to me, offensive tackle Dwayne Brown. He's a 1 year rental, can come in and protect Stafford's blind side. I think he'd be a good fit. He'd love to go to a contender. And then, you know, same kind of team, but Bobby Wagner at linebacker. I thought, man, he would love to go play for the Rams, you know, get his chance to make another Super Bowl run, and he'd be a great fit for them, fill a void. They still got to go out and get a cornerback. But they don't need a one because they got Jalen Ramsey. So I think they could play around with a lot of the names on the list. You know, like we talked about earlier, there's Roswell Douglas, there's Kevin King, I mean, crap, go and get Patrick Peterson and let him be your two. He could do it. You know, like they got options there.
So I thought the Rams had signed a cornerback. I'm glancing at my list
Okay.
but I thought they had signed a cornerback that could be their number 2.
Yeah, maybe they have.
But I'm not finding it, so it must have been like a rumor
Okay.
that they were going to sign him and didn't actually sign him. So I'm just, yeah,
Eh, no biggie.
yeah, I'm not finding it. So I was wrong. I agree, but I do agree with you there. Like they only need the number 2 corner. They don't need the number 1. Player I would like to see them sign for an offensive line and possibly do it as a longer term contract, which to kind of spread it out would be uh,
Teron Armstead.
Ron Armstead.
Man, that's a big money signing though, you know.
It is, but it's the most important position on the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going long term with Stafford, you know, you would want to maybe get him a long term blindside guy. And I would like that move. I would just wonder, you know, it's like you push one part of a balloon, you know, like it's going to bulge out somewhere
Mhm.
else. Like eventually, you know, they're just going to run out of cap space no matter how much you manipulate it. But they'd be a sweet signing if they could lock him up, man.
Yeah, but I think more realistically, you're right. You're talking about like a Dwayne Brown or um, who's the other guy I had? I think he actually signed, so never mind.
Okay. Yeah, Dwayne Brown, he'd be solid. You know, he gets it done for a year, gives them time to either draft and develop a guy, or just kick the can down the road until next year and then do the same thing with another guy, you know? So,
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm not finding
I
the other
mean,
guy
you
on the
know,
list.
here's the thing. I got this guy listed later on, but if you wanted a more of a bargain guy that can start at left tackle for you, Eric Fisher's still out there. And he's going to have a better year this year now that he's fully recovered from that knee injury. You know, last year was a little dicey with the Colts, man. It's like he rushed back to action because they had injuries on the offensive line, and he didn't have a great year, but he still started. And, you know, I think this year he'll get back to form, more of what we saw with him in the Kansas City days. He can be a serviceable left tackle if you need it for a significantly cheaper price tag. But, you know, he's not, I don't know that he's like really a long term answer. So it'd be another short term deal. You'd have to make him prove it. So,
Yeah, I would like to see the Rams do something more long term
yeah,
at the tackle position than those, but I mean that might be the best option they have.
yeah, happy medium maybe. Okay, so next up we got the Minnesota Vikings, James, and the Vikings. Let's see where their cap is at. 2.4 million. They're a little tight there. We got needs of cornerback, edge, and then Petra had quarterback on here, which I disagree with. Maybe that's because it was pre the 1 year extension for Kirk Cousins. Either way, you know, they're always talking about Cousins being out in Minnesota, but you know, cornerback is their top need, and I agree with that. I think Stephon Gilmore, this is a good landing spot for him. He's the top guy available. He would fit that need, uh, and you could move on to the next need, which is an edge. And they got a lot of options at edge, man. You know, like you could look at. I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm going through my list here. You know, I mean, Zadarius Smith, would he jump over to the Vikings? It's one of those divisional moves. They'd love to get a guy like that because then they got a little bit of insight on their rival Packers, and they potentially block him from going back to the Packers. Um, I don't know that they could get a guy like Melvin Ingram, even though he's at the end of his career. I don't think the Vikings are good enough that Ingram would go sign with them unless he felt like he was getting desperate. I think he can wait for a more of like a championship level team to sign him. So I don't know what they do there, but you know,
I would say like possibly like a Justin Houston at edge. I also had them as needing a safety.
okay, yeah,
And I'm looking at my notes. I didn't know why I thought they needed safety, but I have them as listed as needing safety help.
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and Justin Houston, I could see him landing there because he, if my memory serves me correctly, he hung out there for a long time
Hmm.
last year before he got signed. And so he might be thinking, hey, I want to keep playing. And instead of waiting for a Super Bowl kind of team, he might say, I'll go to the Vikings, whatever, you know. And he'd add value there, you know. And then, yeah, at safety, there's a couple guys they could go, you know, if they're not going to go big with a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, you know, we talked about Jaron Curse is out there. Deshaun
Hmm.
Elliott at safety, he's an option. I've got him listed a little bit later. I had him down for the Seahawks, but you know, there's a couple options at safety where they could fill that void.
Yeah, I'm I don't know why anybody had them listed as needing a quarterback because and I've seen it a couple places, but they drafted Kellen Mond last year, and
Yep.
they have Kirk Cousins under contract. There was talk about even Kirk Cousins being traded, which means you're going to go
Yeah.
with Kellen Mond this year.
Yeah.
So why I don't I just there's a disconnect there that I don't understand.
There's always drama with Cousins, man. Like just nobody wants to commit to him, and so it pisses me off. He is a better than average
Hmm.
starting quarterback,
Hmm.
and in a better than average starting quarterback in the NFL today, It's hard to find, hang on to the guy. I get it. There's like a lot of elite guys now. And so it's like you want the elite guy, but if you don't have an elite guy, hang on to a guy like Cousins because if you like, here's the thing, had the Deshaun Watson trade not happened, I would have been like pushing hard for a trade to Cleveland because Stefanski knows Cousins. He would have fit that offense perfect with those running backs. It would, I mean, it would have just been, it would have been a thing of beauty for me to see. But that's all right. I think Watson's obviously a different kind of talent. So
Yeah, but here's the thing: like week in, week out, Kirk Cousins is somewhere between 8 and 16 quarterback in the league,
yeah,
which reminds me about a funny meme about the AFC North and the quarterback rankings, and it was like everybody, and then number 7 was Pittsburgh.
okay,
But anyways, well, he's somewhere between 8 and 16 week in and week out. Is he going to wow you? Is he going to? No, but he
he's
does the
smart with the
job,
ball. Yeah,
and he has to do something right for fucking Justin Jefferson. This initially set the rookie record for receiving yards that was broke last year, but he has to be doing something right to have a 1,400-yard rookie receiver.
yeah, for sure. He knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah, and he's accurate as fuck. Like his accuracy is like in the high
Yeah,
high 60s, low 70s area. I want to say
yeah.
it's 73, but I'm not looking at the
And
stats right now because
in
that's not
up
where we're
until
going.
last year, the Vikings have had a bottom of the barrel offensive line. It's
Hmm.
gotten better, which has been great, but he was getting it done with all sorts of pressure, man. All right, so moving it on here. The next team I got on the list is the New Orleans Saints. And oh my gosh, I don't even know where they're at with salary cap space right now.
They're
Uh,
fucking under the cap now by like 23 million.
yeah, this one says 26 million. That blows my mind, dude. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
Um,
So when Petra's article was written, and I don't know the date. It was obviously before. So at some point they were 45 million over the cap.
oh, dude, originally they were over 70 million over the cap.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
But
let
so
me
they work some magic, and now they've got some room to play. They need a quarterback, they need a wide receiver, they need an offensive tackle. They need a lot now. They're in rebuild
March
mode now.
March 9th was when the article was written.
Okay.
So in
Uh,
9 days they've done their magic.
yeah. Yeah, and so
They
James, this was one that, I didn't have Jameis going back to them. I actually, and I think that's because I wanted Jameis to go to Carolina. I had them taking a flyer on Dalton, but I thought, okay, they get a guy like Dalton for a year while they figure out what the heck they're doing with this team, and then they go from there. But now that they've got more cap space, I can see them bringing back Winston. It would make sense.
Yeah, and I can also see them bringing back Armstead now that they have the cap space.
They would be smart to do that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, so that's where I see them using their cap space is offensive tackle and quarterback.
Okay.
Wide receiver, I don't. I think
Well, they're
they
they're
adjust.
they're hopeful that Mike Thomas is coming back healthy. That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, and if Mike Thomas comes back healthy, like they don't necessarily need a wide receiver. You could draft a guy and
Yeah.
uh, like draft a guy in the late early second round, middle second round that could fill that number 2 spot, and you could be fine.
I'm good with that. All right, so next up we got the New York Football Giants, James, and the Giants are sitting at 620,000 in cap space. So they're tight. They're actually at the bottom. There's only one team worse than them right now with cap space. And so I'm showing their needs as offensive line, edge, and linebacker. For them,
Quarterback.
yeah, quarterback. Thank you. Yep. I put them as an Eric Fisher landing spot. I think they could get some bang for their buck with him, and he'd be serviceable. And then I put, which I don't think is even an option now that we talk, but I had Zadarius Smith here for them because they need help at edge, but I don't think they can afford him. I just had him here because I could see them taking a risk on a guy that's maybe a bad mouth in the locker room, which is kind of some of what I was hearing about him in Green Bay. The guy just ruffled feathers apparently. So,
So for the Giants, this is where I really thought Patrick Peterson would go.
okay.
Um, as far as edge, like I mean, I tried, and I'm just not finding a fit
Yeah.
there. I
And they
mean,
have no money anyhow.
yeah, they have no money. They're whatever money they have, they they're like yeah. So I could see I could I, and it's not even unless I have them as having wow, that list is different than what I had come up. I had them needing a safety.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
with
they need they
cornerback,
need a lot of help.
Move Peterson over to safety instead of corner, and possibly extend his career at safety.
Yeah, I'd like to see him move to safety. I think he'd be great at safety. Okay, so next up we got the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles they got 15.6 million in space. Their big needs are linebacker, defensive back, wide receiver. I had them pegged to go after a guy like cornerback Rasul Douglas, and then outside linebacker Anthony Barr. I thought those could be fits that maybe are the right price for the Eagles. I didn't really put somebody in there at wide receiver. What are you seeing for the Eagles, James?
So the Eagles, I think they have to sign a veteran wide receiver. Like their wide receiver rooms is
Yeah, they got
one.
Devonta Smith and then no one.
Yeah, I forgot about Smith. So, but when you look at who's still available at wide receiver, like honestly, are any of these guys really worth it?
It's tough, man. I don't know who they would go after. I mean, this is one of those ones where, we started talking about this guy. Because you have a mobile quarterback and maybe that buys you time, do you take a chance on a guy like Will Fuller that's a field stretcher because you're going to try and drop some bombs? I mean, he would fit that kind of role with a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, that's a good one. I I the the one I saw was possibly them going after like an Anthony Barr or a
Yeah.
Kazir White,
Yeah, I
like
like
one of
Anthony
those three
Barr,
guys.
and I'm still hopeful that Kaiser White goes back to the Chargers, but if they could score him, I think that'd be a great signing. Okay, so let's keep it moving. Next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers, and they're sitting at about 9.2 million in cap space, James. They had a need of cornerback, but they did sign Charvarius Ward, so they're probably okay there right now. They have a need at offensive linemen, which I think is because they let Laken Tomlinson walk. And they need some help on defensive line, which I don't know that they really need help on defensive line. They just like being overly stacked on the defensive line. And really, I went through the list. The only guy that I thought made sense for them was Lorenzo Carter. I thought he would be a good value pick that could come in, be like a sneaky under the radar signing, and be very productive on that defensive line.
So I really don't understand the defensive line need for them.
Yeah, it's
I,
just because they like to roll with one of the deeper groups on the defensive line.
yeah, so I have them needing let me see. So they signed the
Get him
corner.
another cornerback, man. We know their secondary was the weak spot.
Yeah, so I have them in bad need of interior offensive line, and that's who I see them going after. So
Yeah,
like a guard. So and then but then I look at the list and
I think
it's
the
like,
guards are gone, man. Yeah, you got some centers now, but they still have Alex Mack at center.
yeah.
Riley Reef, make him guard. He's got some versatility.
I'm gonna say something weird. I don't think they make any more. Yeah, I don't. I don't see them going after. Like they might make moves, but it's not going to be off the top 100 list.
Yeah,
It's going to be somebody that they're just taking a flyer on.
okay. Well, then let's keep it moving. Next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks. And let's see where these guys are at. I'm showing the Seahawks at 33.6 million in space. You know, Patriots got quarterback, defensive back, and edge. It sounds like they may be happy rolling the dice with Drew Lock. I think that's crazy, but let's just say either even if they don't, what are they going to do? Go get Jameis Winston? I don't know, but um, one pick here that I liked that stood out was that maybe they go out and they sign Trey Flowers at defensive end. I think he'd come in and I think he could be good for that team. And Pete Carroll might be able to pitch him to get in there and fill a spot there. I also had safety Deshaun Elliott. And one that they didn't have listed as a need, but I plugged him in anyhow, was Leonard Fournette at running back. Um, I gotta believe that they're gonna need somebody else in there. Maybe they go with some young guys. That's fine. I know Pete Carroll's been a huge fan of Chris Carson, but I don't even know what his status is these days. I know he's had some injury stuff as of late, and I don't even know if he's still on the roster, to be honest.
He has to be like, doesn't he? Like,
You would think, but even then, Rashad Penny's gone, so maybe it's time to bring in some fresh meat.
hold on, that's gonna bug me. Like, he has to be still on the roster.
And I picked Fournette over Melvin Gordon and some of the other names because I felt like Fournette's a little bit more of a banger, and Pete Carroll likes those guys that run hard between the tackles.
So I have them having Chris Carson still under contract. Chris
It's good.
Carson, DJ Dallas, Travis Homer, and Josh Johnson.
Yeah, I mean Chris Carson's the guy, but do they want to go Fournette and make it a little bit stronger? Pete Carroll loves focusing on the run game.
True. And I think that's with where Seattle is right now, I don't see any of the big name free agents really wanting to go there.
No.
I think they fucked up by releasing Bobby Wagner, like completely fucked up. And it's like, I mean, resign like I mean
Yeah, the ship
I
is
just have a
sinking.
problem. The ship's sinking. It's taking on water. Everybody's dropping off. The only way they're going to get any of these players is trading for them or draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the direction Seattle's going, man. I mean they're especially they're in a tough division too. It just yeah, they're falling behind, man. It sucks. It sucks that it didn't work out with Russell Wilson, and now they're
And it's just
starting over
the
basically.
annoying thing about Seattle is like they were throwing a lot of shade at Wilson all like this week on social media,
Yeah.
which was annoying. Like just say thank you, Russell.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, hey, he got him a ring. Like All right. So, yeah, they got an uphill battle. James, the next team I got here is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers they're over the cap by 246,000. Not a lot to play with. They've got needs on the offensive line, the defensive line, and cornerback. I think they address cornerback by bringing back Carlton Davis. Offensive line, re-signing Jensen and making the trade for Shaq Mason helps, but I believe they still need one more guy on the offensive line. And then at defensive line, I think they need help there. And I kind of thought this is more me dreaming, but could they get Calais Campbell on that defensive line? And if not him, maybe this is where Melvin Ingram ends up. Because it's going to be one of these guys that's seasoned, wanting to make a deal to be on a championship caliber team. And I would love it to be Calais Campbell. You know, I don't, I don't know what's going on in Baltimore, man. I don't know if I consider them a Super Bowl contender right now. And so I'm just a huge Calais Campbell fan. I want to see him end up on the right team.
So after the moves of this week, I actually have the Buccaneers as filling all their primary and secondary needs.
Yeah, they're looking good again, man. They're looking really good again.
So I think they've with the moves that they made this week, they've already made the free agency moves that they're going to make. So I don't see them making any
No cherry
no,
on top. No Calais Campbell cherry
notable,
on top
like
to replace Ndamukong Suh.
maybe resign Leonard Fournette.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be a good one to do. We know he was productive there. I'd bring him back. Why not? They got Ronald Jones still, but that combination was good, man. Um, all right, yeah. Chase Edmonds. I would have loved to have seen him go to Tampa Bay, playing with Brady, being the James White. Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that ship has sailed. Okay, last team for tonight, James. We got the I almost said Washington football team. Washington Commanders. They are sitting on, if I'm not mistaken, some cap space. They got 16.8 million. They need, I don't know, they need a quarterback, but they got Wentz, so maybe they don't really need it right now. They need offensive line help. They did just sign a guard, but I know they need help at tackle. And then they need a wide receiver, really a wide receiver too, because they got Terry McLaurin. James, I had Teron Armstead going to these guys. I thought, hey, they got Chase Young on the other line. Why not get a guy like Armstead on the offensive side of the ball, solidify those trenches, and then you can go anywhere you want from there.
That's a good one. I didn't think that was. I don't want to put Armstead on like 14. So
No, I know. Yeah, this is the only one I put him on, but you put him on some other ones, so I got you.
I put him on two. One I threw out there as like an outside chance, and one
Yeah,
I seriously thought was potential.
that's fine.
I think they badly need a wide receiver, and I think this could be like OBJ's landing spot.
Oh man. See, I mean, Terry McLaurin is a legit wide receiver one, in my opinion. This is a spot where I could see Jamison Crowder going. I could see
Jameson
him
Crowder's
fitting.
another good one that we have on 7 teams now, but
I only got him on one team last week and the Lions this week, so this would be three.
yeah. So, but I think for some reason I see this is where OBJ's landing spot is,
Okay.
and
I,
it's and
I'd be fine with that,
the,
because
the
he'd be a
only
number
reason I
two.
see it is he's a number two, and I want him. I think I see him wanting to rub the Giants' face in it,
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Get
and
him
that's the
twice a year.
only reason.
Yeah. it'd be twice a year for this year on a prove it deal, and then he'd go somewhere else. But yeah,
Exactly.
I'd be fine with that. Okay, James, any last thoughts on our free agency matchmaker?
I don't. Nope. I think I hit everything I wanted to
Okay.
hit.
Well, cool. Let's move it on to our question of the week. We're getting close to the end of the show here. So, James, the compensatory picks have been announced. I want to say there were 39 of them this year. And the Rams somehow ended up with 5 motherfucking compensatory picks. One of them being a third rounder. And so my question is, what are your thoughts on the Rams getting 5 comps? And you can take it in any direction you want, but to me, that shit just pisses me off. It pisses me right off that the Super Bowl winner could get that many compensatory picks. And I know that there's a system of, oh, hey, if you lose guys in free agency and you do this and you do that, there's like some, method to the madness in the background, which is how that these picks are awarded. Okay, but to me, this is a glaring flaw in the NFL. If the Super Bowl winner could get 5 picks, they need to evaluate this and change it because something needs to be taken into consideration to say, oh, hey, you went that far in the playoffs, then we adjust the formula as follows. It just, and I know like historically, Ozzie Newsome with Baltimore was great at supposedly knowing that formula and always knowing the right time to add guys and release guys and make sure he was maxing out his ability to get the compensatory picks. But I just, this just tells me there's a problem, James. That's all I'm saying. And it just bugs me. I think it's great for the Rams that they frickin' scored 5 frickin' comps, but they trade away their picks every year and then they're wildly successful. I don't know, dude. I feel like that this is messed up.
Okay. First of all, I want to read the compensatory pick rule. The number of compensatory picks allotted each year is limited to the number of teams in the league, 32, per the
So how
collective bargaining agreement. How
so
does that?
how'd we end up with 39 this year?
However, compensatory picks are not divided equally among the teams, and no team can receive more than 4 compensatory picks in a single year.
So it's already messed up.
I think when with the Rooney Rule adjustment thingy that they announced in November 2020 might have changed that part for losing free agents, and so you can only get 32 for losing free agents. But I can't think of between 2020, the end of the 2020 season, and now or the end of the 2020 and 2021 seasons, I can't think of 7 minority candidates that were lost by teams to head coaching jobs, and that's where you can get an extra pick for. So one of
Okay.
the compensatory picks for the Rams is probably for losing Brad Holmes to the Lions as general manager.
Okay.
So we can thank the Lions for that. But the problem with the compensatory pick system is it de-incentivizes paying your free agents. You have those middle tier free agents that are possibly not middle tier, but a little bit higher, whatever the qualifying basis is, that are kind of right there, and bringing in free agents, because the teams, to qualify for compensatory picks, teams must end up with more or better qualifying free agents lost than gained in a particular year.
I don't know how you could say the Rams were upside down when, like, they were like unanimously the Super Bowl favor this year.
Yeah, so I am absolutely lost and dumbfounded as to how the fuck the Rams
You're with me. You're with me that it's
got
messed up.
got any compensatory picks besides the one
Yeah,
because
maybe
the
give
one
them
they
one.
got for
But but
Brad Holmes being signed. So they got one for that. How
but
did they get any other compensatory picks
but
when
even then though, James, shouldn't there be something that says, "Oh, hey, you went this far in the playoffs, and so now we're going to void that," because otherwise you're just letting the rich get richer, man.
yeah, it's
This is meant to like balance out for the teams that are getting hosed and that they need the help. You shouldn't be giving it to somebody that's getting better. It just, I don't know, dude. It pisses me off, man.
yeah, it annoys me. And you want to contrast the Rams to the Buccaneers who won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. The Buccaneers got one.
Yeah, see? Bullshit. Total bullshit.
I just want to take a look at Cincinnati. I don't think Cincinnati got any. Yeah, Cincinnati got zero.
I know the Lions got three. How the Lions get three and the Rams get five. It just chaps my ass, man. It should be the other way around. The Lions should have gotten like fucking 10.
I agree because so
Uh,
I just don't fucking know.
yeah.
I the compensatory picks is completely fucked up, and there's no way. I 100% agree with you. There's no way the fucking Super Bowl championship should get five fucking picks.
All right. Well, at least you're with me. That's all I got for tonight, James. You got any closing thoughts?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So next week, I think we'll be doing a free agency recap. We'll pick up on all the new stuff that happens over the next week here. And historically, we've done that for a couple weeks. But if it dries up, maybe we'll sprinkle in a special topic for one of them to keep it spicy. But yeah, so for anybody who's still watching, we hope you like the show. Play Name That Stadium and answer our question of the week. Let us know what you think about these freaking cops, man. It's fucking garbage in my opinion. But we hope you liked it. If you did, give us a like, a thumbs up, all that jazz. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate the support. Um, and James, I told you, man, we had some rocking numbers for our playoff videos. We had some of them pushing 60 views. So for us, that's good. I'd like to say 60,000, but no, we're not there yet. So, like always, man, it was fun. I will catch up with you later, James.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one.
See ya.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.